So we're here, first YouTube video. Forgot the mics, but that's okay. We're here at our Redwood Road West Valley project. We're going to be building 20,000 square feet of shallow bay industrial here. So we're going to show you what we're doing, I guess. Probably want to do like another video of like the site layout and that type of stuff, but we are buying this project from West Valley City RDA. This was going to be a big research campus, and then federal funding got cut. So they bought all this stuff and now they're selling it to me. And you can see I'm the proud owner of that office building over there. That gave me enough HOA shares to appoint myself as president and amend the HOA document so I can build in this common area right here, if you want to move the camera. So the building's just going to go all the way across this way. And in order to do that, we spent a bunch of money on attorney fees. So we're standing in where a garage door will be, or an overhead door. The property starts over by those cars and it goes all the way this way to those cars. And if you come over here, or actually if you just turn this way, you go right here, this is all going to be future parking, so that office tenants and industrial tenants will actually have more parking than they did before. So I like this site because we actually have a diminishing amount of supply of this small industrial product. And so to fit the needs of these small regional service-based tenants, we were trying to build stuff as far east as we possibly can. So we've got industrial stuff over there, we've got the Maverick Center over there, and then we've got residential all the way over to the mountains over there. So that gives our tenants the ability to service anybody within a 5-mile radius where maybe their previous building got knocked over for apartments and they need a place to go. And part of the project is going to be go to the sidewalk. We're going to be removing the sidewalk and putting a strip of grass. It's really loud here, and so we're going to put a strip of grass here and then a sidewalk to give more of a pedestrian buffer. With some nice trees and stuff so people don't get hit by cars. Here's an aerial overview of the site. And as you can see that there were a couple office buildings that got built. There's a credit union right here and some more industrial stuff over here. So when the site was sent to me, I kind of just looked it up on a Google Maps and kind of got a good idea of how the layout works. This one's not super complicated. It's just one big building going all the way down. And with these office condos not getting built, it added some challenges, but it also gave some opportunities on the development side. As you can see, we already have existing storm drain infrastructure. And like I talked about earlier, this can get really, really expensive really quickly. Going back to when I first looked at the site, I'll just go to the city's website, pull up the zoning. So just click the interactive zoning map, and then I'll go to the actual zoning map itself. Then I just click on it. And it's zone code M, and it's part of an HOA, which again adds some challenges, but that's okay. So I'll go to I just look up the development code or ordinances. So I'll scroll down, zoning, zone district. You kind of just need to fumble through these. Not a super efficient way to do it. Zoning kind of just says, you can see it over on the right-hand side. City might rezone stuff, or they might have specific zones and uses in those zones. So we'll scroll down here, zonings or zones and districts, pull that up over here. We go to the commercial and manufacturing zone. This is mostly what I care about. Can I build the project that I want to build in this area? And then what I'll do is I'll just copy all of this and put it in a Google Doc or a Google Sheets, and then go through and say, do I want an agricultural business? Probably not, but that's okay because the use is conditional. What do I actually care about in this building? I care about manufacturing. I care about storage. So if you just keep scrolling down, see stuff that you actually are interested in doing. So let's go to light industrial. Use is permitted when not adjacent to a residential use zone or agricultural zone. And then same thing with this heavy manu warehouse, same thing. Use when not next to single family homes or apartments. So we go back to the zoning map here, and you can see that there's a buffer in between us and any other residential zone, which is nice. So we keep going through. So I want to build a warehouse. Looks like I can do that. I don't really need any outdoor storage because it's such a tight facility. We could have done self-storage if we wanted to, but I just don't think it makes a lot of sense in this area. And then we'll kind of just do a deep dive through the code. And this is really boring, but I think it's super necessary. So we've got some design standards that we need to approach. So I'll just download this section of the code and kind of mark it up. I won't bore you with all the details here, but my site is on this road, on Redwood Road. And so we've got to do some additional stuff to it. And you can see here, when you're looking through the code, it's important to look at the legislative intent or the purpose of the code, because there are some disagreements in the code or some stuff that contradicts itself. And so we want to go look through what is the purpose of this? Do they want us to build apartments? Do they want us to build warehouse? What do they want us to do, and how can we help them accomplish their goals? And so we scroll down, we see that there's some development standards, some public right-of-way. They want Kwanzaa pink flowering cherry trees along Redwood Road. So we're going to put them in for them. And they talk a little bit about how they want these sidewalks to work. We mentioned previously that we're going to be building and expanding sidewalk. The urbanist in me is very happy about that. The developer and financial guy inside me does not want to do that because that costs a lot of money, of course, but you do what you got to do. And so we'll go through all the way through this code, like every page, anything that applies to me. And then as we scroll down, we notice that we have some design standards that we have to take care of. So we scroll in. This is really important. So we just go through and highlight all of this, see if there's anything that would worry me. Nothing too crazy on this. Again, we look through the purpose. We don't want weird buildings in weird neighborhoods. So that's kind of what they're trying to stop. We can see the applicability of this. This is why you go through this code, is because I never would have found this if I wasn't going through all the way. The standards are applicable to basically any commercial building that is not a warehouse. So warehouses in use allowed only in the M or LI zones are specifically excluded. So we'd go back to this use matrix table. Let's go down to self-storage because that's the one I remember. So this is only allowed in the manufacturing zone. Because I want to do stuff that is outside of that, like if we wanted to do any office, any retail, like if someone wanted to open up a bakery, I'd probably want to meet these design standards. And, you know, even if I didn't, I want to build a good product. I think there is a premium to be paid for these smaller industrial warehouses. And so that's what we're doing. And so we go through the orientation. We only have one building, so this isn't applicable to us. They just don't, this is kind of what they want. So we need to lay out the building in accordance to what they want. Pad site buildings shall be compatible with the largest building and within a commercial complex by using one or more of the same building materials or colors. So we're thinking want to design it with similar rocks to the office building. And that could look like this. So maybe we add some of these features. We didn't end up needing to do that because of the way that the city responded to our zoning or to our application. So that's not as applicable, but that's this, again, I made these notes when we first started. There are small pockets of landscape, pedestrian connections. Again, the urbanist in me is very happy about this, but the developer in me says, this isn't, why do we need this? But that's okay. So we just keep scrolling through. Again, these are those walkways, clearly confused on how that worked. Buildings over 10,000 square feet, we have some additional design standards. And then those would not apply to buildings under 10,000 square feet, so that does not apply to us. This doesn't really apply to us either. Building materials, we need masonry, stucco, stone. And so we kind of have the option, do we build a metal building and put stucco on it? That kind of leaves us with the same cost of just building masonry, because the masonry can act as structural support as well. So we elected to just do a masonry building on this site. Building colors, they don't want weird, non-subtle, subdued, low reflective, neutral, or earth tones. They don't want a big green building in this area. Building relief treatments, architecture in me says this is good. But the developer is like, this is a little silly, but that's okay. We do what we got to do. We need a primary customer entrance. And so we have that on our site. I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, we just go through this entire site or through this entire code and see what applies to us. So we've got our building elevation. These are our plans here. Carter is the last name of my partner on this. So Carter Webster Industrial Park. This is kind of how it looks. We're not going to do a bright red overhang, but that's okay. We have our site. And we just scroll down, and this is the site layout. So we'll scroll down to the previous developer's plan, and that was 3 office buildings, not feasible anymore. And this is our site plan. And so we've got one big building that runs the stretch And as you can see, this is how it lays out. These are condos. So if we want to sell these individually to owners or investors, then we can do that and have existing infrastructure, which makes this site significantly more feasible. We've got water lines going here. We've got gas lines here as well. And then we have that existing storm drain infrastructure, which was, again, so expensive. And so we're just going through the plans here. This is, again, how the building lays out. And we've got 2 overhead doors on these buildings. We have overhead doors on both sides. So if you wanted to drive your car all the way through, you could do that. And on these units, we just have overhead doors on one side of the unit. It doesn't go all the way through. There's a dividing wall that goes in between there. Here is the Kwanzaa pink flowering cherry tree. Here's the drainage plan. We've got our storm drains here. This is the parking lot that I showed earlier. This is the hefty set of plans that we have. So if we scroll in here, you can see how the site lays out. We've got just an overhead door right here, a man door right here, and then we've got a little half bathroom here with just a sink and a toilet. And then we've got the same thing over here, except it goes all the way through. And so we still just have the one toilet with the one sink. I'm of the opinion that these little warehouses just don't need that much more. And if anyone wants to build any additional space, we can do it. We elected to go with the CMU here because, as I said, if we were going to, because of the design standards that we have, if we were to do a metal building, we would still have to do stucco. And the way that you save money on these metal buildings is through the skin of the building. It kind of defeats the purpose if your whole cost savings comes through that corrugated metal on the outside. But if you're covering that with stucco, you're basically doing the same cost as you would just a masonry building. So you're getting an inferior product for basically the same cost. And so that's why we went through and went with the masonry.